Hello, my name is Jamie Corbett, and I'm going to be doing this presentation and report on the Albion Hills Conservation Area. It is located in Caledon, Ontario, which is about 40 minutes north of Toronto. It was established in 1955 and was Ontario's first conservation facility. It continues its role as the outdoor recreation facility within the community. Now, before it was a conservation area, it was essentially wild, primitive areas. It wasn't anything. There were several farms, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but it was basically unclaimed territory, and as a result, it is a very natural and old forest. It is also very large. It is over 495 hectares of largely forested land within the Humber River watershed in the headwaters of the Oak Ridges Moraine. Now, the Humber River watershed is the largest by far within Toronto's jurisdiction, and majority of that watershed occurs within the town of Caledon. This park also has one of Ontario's best trail systems. It boasts over 40 kilometers of hiking trails in the summer, with 27 kilometers of groomed cross-country skiing trails in the winter. Now, in both summer and winter, they are all groomed and maintained and designated for specific types of activities. In the summer, some are specifically for hiking, some are specifically for mountain biking. In the winter, some are specifically cross-country skiing, some specifically snowshoeing. There are also many other facilities, like I said, to support snowshoeing, tobogganing, camping, boating, fishing, picnicking. There's a pool and a splash pad. It is an outdoor recreationist's dream. This would take a very long time to explain, and I'm not going to do it. This is just a map of the vast trail system within the park. Now to talk a little bit about the physical park itself and what occurs within the park boundaries. There are many ecosystems such as upland forests, bottomland forests, old fields, and wetland habitats. And I specifically do say old fields because, as I said a little bit earlier, there used to be several small farms that owned a partial amount of what is now the park. And those old farm fields, the park staff, nobody has done anything to make them into something else. They are being naturally reclaimed and are currently serve as meadows and groves in the middle of the forests. I could go on and on about the countless aquatic and land species that live within this park, but that would take far too long. I would focus and think is the most interesting about the coyote and deer populations near the top of the food chain. They move in and out of the park unrestricted and are very delicate, thus very interesting, because with an increased amount of people, they tend to not come around as much and it becomes more dangerous for them. But they do still live within the park, and that's why it's so interesting. Another really cool thing about this park is they have a community farm that practices sustainable agricultural practices. They do produce food and livestock for the community and helping the economy in that way. What this place serves as is an example of how sustainable a farm can be, and it serves as an educational center that farmers can come, witness the practices, ask questions, and then they can take those and go take them back to their own farm and produce more food like that, helping the community. This is a conservation area, and it is most concerned with protecting the ecological and cultural integrity of the property and the watershed. Whenever there are this many types of activities and this many people in an area, there are bound to be conflicts. Majority of these are social, and they're different depending on the activity that you're doing. I'll enumerate several of them. One of them is if you're on a trail, most of the time you're looking for a more solitary experience, and so if you run into another person, one of the reasons why there's such a vast trail system is so that you can simply choose another trail and you won't have to run into those people again you can find that solitary experience you're looking for. As you move closer to more heavily used areas, such as some of the heavier used trails, some of the beaches, the picnic areas, those are very highly used. They are in and also have social problems coming along with that. They can get crowded as well. So to to deal with that, what this park has done is they've made multiple areas for picnics. They've made several beaches, and so if you go to one, it's too busy or whatever the reason, you can go and find another one and hopefully find what you're looking for and still have an enjoyable experience. Now, the current carrying capacity throughout the park, this is spread throughout the entire park, and people spread throughout all of the facilities, is 5,175 persons. Again, that is the absolute maximum occupancy that this park could possibly maintain. With it being so big, it's difficult to give it one level of condition. It's in both good and bad condition depending on the facility you're looking at. And on the recreation opportunity spectrum, they have everything from primitive to rural recreation settings. I'll explain those two since they are the two farthest on the spectrum. The primitive areas are in very good condition. They are kept in natural states, and nothing is done to them because people are not allowed to go in those areas. And thus they are kept in excellent shape. As you move into a lot more of the higher population areas within the park, they get more heavily used. There's a lot more visible trampling, off-trail activity, and such things like this. And so there are, within these different facilities, there are a lot of different levels of use and condition levels. Overall, though, I would say that this park is in good condition. The management strategy for this park, for the AHCA, is currently in a very vast, sweeping review of its management strategies, and it has already completed the first two stages and just has one stage that it is currently in left to finish. These stages follow the visitor impact management strategy in their plan development. Now, as I said, they've already completed the first two stages. The first one was they took a massive public survey. They had public hearings to get as much public opinion as possible. They did internal surveys and internal reports to figure out what it was that was broken, what it was that needed to be fixed, to identify the problem. The second stage of this plan was, again, they had public hearings, they had internal surveys, and all of these were directed towards how did these problems occur and where did they come from. And from there they can move on to the third stage, which is what they are currently in and will be in for about another year, is figuring out how to implement the changes, how to fix what needs to be fixed. A strength of this process is that of this particular process in this park is the public has been given an incredible opportunity to give their opinion, and it is being taken and held with high regard. And this entire strategy that they have developed in this park it revolves all around public opinion, which is amazing because they are the ones that are going to be using it, and it just seems like a good idea to have public opinion be the focal point of your efforts. My management plan for my park will be similar, but the timing will be different, and there will be several differences. I think for my park, I would want to do this on an annual basis, have a survey and report of the conditions of all facilities at the end of the peak season. Along with that, there will be a report of how these happened, and in that way, if something is serious enough to warrant attention, then we already have the first two stages of this management plan already done, and then we can focus on actually implementing, figuring out how to fix what needs to be fixed and fixing it. Since this constant stream of data coming in every year, I think it will make solutions much more expedient and much more fluid. Of course, I'm not naive. There definitely will be damages every year, and things will have to be fixed every year. I think that by constantly monitoring this state, slight changes can be tweaked, and the entire park can be fixed on small scale, and then it can avoid making small problems into big problems, and ultimately that reduces cost, and it helps the economy. That would be the economic background for that. Public feedback is definitely important, and I think in an increasingly electronic world, most of this will be coming through our website and through emails. So that will be the chief source of public opinion coming into the park. I also think we should hand out a package as they come in that contains a survey. They can fill it out voluntarily, and then as they leave the park, they can just hand it into the toll booth, and that will be another source. And hopefully we can garner enough information to make the park as great as it can be. The most important part of this, I do believe, is the constant reviewing of resources, the constant reporting on the condition of facilities, and in that way, small problems can be fixed constantly instead of big problems every couple of years that do cost money. They do cost man hours, and it's just a lot less of a hassle to solve small problems when they are small and instead of waiting for them to become big problems. I think that is the most important part of a managerial plan. Thank you for watching my presentation.